These are going to be the best tactics post-patch. First of all, we're going to start off with a 4-5-1. Now, what's important to understand is when you attack with this formation, it's a 4-3-3. It's basically a 4-5-1. So when you're attacking, it's basically a 4-5-1. It's a moving rotational shape. So it basically attacks in a 4-3-3 because you have one center mid that sits, the two center mids support the attack, and then you have the left mid and right mid, going to be similar to how you would have a left mid and right mid, or left wing and right wing in any other formation. The most important thing are those two center mids. Now, defensively, it's actually a 4-5-1. You can see from kickoff here, if I zoom in, have a look. You sit in that 4-5-1 shape. This is why it's favored by pros. So now post-patch, I think it's actually easier to defend. But you're seeing more and more people use this formation because it just makes you solid defensively. You have those two banks, two single lines. You got a back four and a midfield five. It's very hard to break down, but it requires you to run back because you don't have CDMs. On the counter-attacking side, when you win that ball back, you're going to have those two centimeters that are going to help you when they join the attack and create attacking opportunities. What's important to note here is you have to learn how to use L1 triggers. If you're sitting here and you're watching this and you're not triggering these players and you're hoping this formation is going to save you like some miracle, it's not going to work. You need to trigger the players yourself. Now, in terms of the box-to-box and playmaker, you can use anything you want here, but I would recommend a box-to-box and one playmaker. That way you got two different types of attack and movement. The box-to-box player is going to be a bit more involved in the defense, I suppose you can say, but think of those late runs inside the box. You have to be patient with this formation. This is not a formation to play counter-attack. So if you're sitting there and spamming through balls, you got to remember your striker is going to be isolated. In a lot of instances, the striker is going to be by themselves, so you have to wait for them to join the attack. It's very, very important. But left mid, right mid, inside forward, striker, advance forward, the deep line playmaker for the center mid on defend. Anyone that's very good can put box to box here. I'm talking about Division 2 and above. Anyone below that, make sure the deep line playmaker defend. One on box to box, what I recommend, and one on playmaker. You can put two on play. You can put two of them on playmaker if you want to be really attacking, or you can put two of them on box to box. Remember, always adjust it for your playstyle. Do you think pros are going to be playing every single of their center mids on deep line playmaker defend? No, because they know how to defend. But if you struggle, you may want to put all these players deep line playmaker defend. Fullbacks on defend and goalkeepers on balanced. That is a tactics code if you want to copy it. And one thing I would say is 60 defensive approach, but the build-up style, I would strongly recommend counter. Even though the pros are using balanced, you have to remember they play a lock and L1 trigger almost every second. They probably do it more than 90 times in a game. The average player probably does about 15 times in a game probably. So it's very important, very, very important that you put this on counter. Now, this would be the formation I think right now that's probably has the most dominance. Now, can you make this formation more defensive? Yes, you have the 4-1-4-1. This is the formation that I actually prefer because you have that CDM. So the only difference between the two formations, I talked about this last week, the only difference is you have that CDM. That CDM sits deeper. It's closer to your defensive line. So unless you want your center mid to be closer for recycling the ball or rotating the ball when you're in the final third down the wing, I would probably say the 4-1-4-1 is the better formation for the average person. It's very important that you understand that. So I think they're both very good. The 4-5-1, I would say, is a bit better, I would say, from the attacking stance because you have that center mid that sits a bit higher and can help you have that midfield presence, as I showed you very early on in the footages. But I think the 4-1-4-1 is the kind of the better half, the better version of the two, which is more defensive. And then if I need to, I still got a 4-4-1-1. So just ignore the players out of position. I'm just doing this on my second account. But normally Pino would go here. So what would happen is Karchawi would normally be taken off. It would be like this, basically. And then Karchawi gets taken off. So I actually don't start the game in a 4-5-1, but I think it's a viable system. I personally start with a 4-1-4-1. And I think it's very important that I say this. With a 4-1-4-1, you have to still be good defensive. That's why you still need some sort of formation where you have two CDMs. So anyone that's Division 2 and below, I'm not saying this to be on my high horse. I'm just saying this so I can help you as much as possible. It's important that I be honest and transparent here because a lot of people are just saying things for clicks. But as you guys know, I say things how it is. If you're not in Division 2 and above, do not have just all center mids. I'd recommend a 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, or a 4-2-1-3 or 4-2-3-1 base, second variation, that way you have CDMs. They sit a bit deeper. I'm not saying you can't use a 4-4-1-1. That's important. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying have a CDM system of this. So I've got the 4-4-1-1. That's what I'm currently running, the same as last week. Nothing's changed there. I then have the 4-4-2 flat. This is the formation I'm using most of the time because I'm an aggressive player. I like to press. I also like two strikers. And then I have the pressing formation. So this is how I set my team up. So it's very, very important to understand. So the way that I'm thinking is the 4-1-4-1 is the most defensive formation. This would be the formation that would be the go-to. Now, the reason why I'm saying I don't, but you can use a 4-5-1 here. The reason why I don't use the 4-5-1 is if I need to close the game out, as I explained to you, I'd rather have the CDM. So for me, the 4-1-4-1 gets the veto over the 4-5-1. Then I would say insert the 4-5-1 here. So in between the 4-1-4-1, you put the 4-5-1 after it. Then after that, you put the 4-4-1-1. This is what I'm using maybe to start the game with sometimes or halfway through. And then what I'm doing is using the 4-4-2 if I need two strikers. The difference between this and this, look at the difference. It's just you have two strikers and one of them doesn't have two strikers. That is the only difference. I have one on a 4-4-2 flat, I've won the center mids on holding. So I've got one player staying back a little bit, but that's it. Instead of a shadow striker, you just have an actual striker. That is the only difference. Then I have a pressing formation. We know how hard pressing is. EA need to fix the pressing issues. But if I'm struggling defensively, then I am using this to win the ball back. That's going to be my weekend league layout. I'm going to make a full video. I'm doing a bit more testing, but I'll make a full video in the background. And don't forget, guys, if you want to get better F26, come to my Patreon. So patreon.com/no guides. Don't forget, if you don't get better after 1 month, we will refund your money. We've got all the videos, of course, and we've got the defending videos going to be all updated as well and tracking back. So you are playing a 4-5-1. It's very important you watch this video. Tracking back explains how to bring your players back, because I think when people are seeing the pros use it, they're thinking, why is the center mid so close to defense? You have to bring those players back, and equally, you got to trigger those players going forward. So you can make sure you watch those. And we've got these all our defending videos, and we've got some new videos coming out today. So by the time you're watching this video, there should be a video uploaded on that. And of course, the meta mechanic. Let's say, you know what, Neil? I appreciate what you do, but I just want to see the meta stuff. I ain't got time, and I completely understand that. And everyone's got kids, got businesses, got families. I understand that work. Then you can just check out this one. These are just the meta mechanics, things that are just going to instantly make you improve. Let's say, for example, you're in Division 5, where you're watching this right now. You push into Division 2 or Division 1, or maybe you're a Rank 5 player, and you push it to Rank 3, Rank 2. These are the things that you can do, the meta mechanics that the pro players are using, the abusive mechanics, I suppose you can say, or the ones that everyone is abusing, if you want to learn those already, especially this first time shot. But I hope that goes over everything with regards to, remember I said to you, very, very important, make sure you trigger those players. I'm personally using the 4-5-1, but I'm preferring the 4-1-4-1. That's just me speaking personally. But I think most of you guys will probably prefer that 4-5-1. But don't forget, patreon.com/no guides. If you don't get above the 1 month, we will refund your money. So no guys guarantee. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace.